This was a false positive because neither the company nor the doctors that did the test knew these patterns. And get this, she was able to reintroduce the eggs back. A lot of people said they tested all sorts of food sensitivities and they're not any better. And I'm sitting here telling people that the data absolutely matters. So, is all data the same? Is getting food sensitivity testing with doctors or naturopaths or some mail order test of some type is that going to get you reliable data? And the answer is no. I'm actually really going to be straight out right here. I'm going to give you that answer right now. No. And I'm going to say no literally 99 to 100% of the time. And there are reasons behind why food sensitivity testing doesn't get you relief. Do you want to know?
I'm dying. Tell me.
Hi, I'm Maggie Yu, and I'm a functional and holistic medicine physician and the creator of the Transform and Transform protocol. If you're interested in learning what are the root causes of all chronic disease, go ahead and click the link in the description where I have a power pack 30-minute training that goes over what are the 5 pillars of Transform. Go ahead, click the link, and I'll see you in that training. I'm going to ask an alumni to chime in. Anybody who's an alumni of any of our programs, type in chat. What were some of your symptoms before you did the food mapping system and where you're now? Or what was one of the biggest ahas? Share it in chat. So why is the testing so bad out there? No matter who you see, why is the testing so bad? Number one, you're seeing the wrong people. So if you're seeing the allergist or your GI doctor, they don't do any testing for food sensitivity or food intolerance. What are food sensitivity and food intolerance is that it is still an allergic reaction, but it's a slow, low allergic reaction. So remember, the allergists deal with IgE, boom, like that's emergency. We're talking about food intolerance and food sensitivity. That's a slow, low allergy with a different antibody called IgG antibody. And you think of that as what we call a growing response. It can take hours to days for that antibody, those armies to build up. So let me give you an example. I love this example of beef and sesame. Let's say you had a problem on the test result with beef and sesame. If it takes you 3 hours to 3 days to experience a symptom, but you eat beef every other day, how the heck are you supposed to know why you feel crappy all the time? Right?
Good
And
question.
well, here's another scenario. Okay. Let's say you have a point system to them, and it's like what I call the bucket theory. This is part of the food mapping system that I teach. And let's say there is absolutely an additive effect to these allergens. So let's say you have to fill the bucket up to, let's say 10 points is full, but you have to get to 5 points and above for you to feel something. So anything five and under, you don't feel anything. And so let's say this week, all I ate was sesame and I didn't eat any beef.
And you felt
Okay.
fine?
I felt fine. The next week, I ate sesame, but I ate beef. And then
Now you
suddenly I
have
ate
a problem.
beef and I was like, wow, beef really made me sick. Right. But then the following week, all I ate was beef, but no sesame. And they're both 3 points, right? So all you ate the following week was just beef, but no sesame, and you feel fine. Now you think you're cuckoo.
Yeah. Now it's maddening. You really do think you're losing your mind. How come I'm okay sometimes and not other times? And then it's not other factors can play in too, right? Like environmental allergens, I imagine.
It absolutely does. But like back to the testing, I'm going to say that going to see the allergist and the GI doc won't even test you for allergies. They don't believe food matters. How many of you guys right now in chat went to your GI doc and said, food really affects my symptoms? Can you help me? Can you identify? And they said, food doesn't matter. Type it in chat, right? Because this is what we hear all the time. And so you're going to your medical doctors and you can't get food sensitivity or food intolerance testing done, and they tell you, and listen to this, that all the food intolerance or sensitivity testing are bad, unreliable. Well, here's an interesting fact. They're right 99% of the time. This is true. Most food sensitivity and food intolerance testing, we call it IgG testing, suck.
It's bad.
Okay. And there's scientific reasons behind why, because some of them, it all depends on how clean their allergen source is, what they use as their allergen. And as part of it is their technology. Part of it is that there are also multiple types of patients and situations where there could be some false results. So making a lot of these tests really unreliable. So I've done over 10,000 food tests on 10,000 different clients over the last 16 years. And I've tested 42 different companies' tests. And
You're
out of those,
really able to see then who works out well, who is accurate, and who is not.
Yeah, people don't have that level of experience here, because when what I found out was in these 16 years was really I'm only willing to work with one or two companies' tests because the other tests truly are irreproducible, unreliable, not high quality, lots of false results. And so it gives the whole industry a bad rap when you have so many bad tests out there,
Because
right?
by the way, these are not cheap. These are not inexpensive tests.
No, I'm even going to say that one of the tests that you can get at a doctor's office, one of the most expensive, it's over $1,000. Right? That test is the most unreliable. It's the laughing stock of the naturopathic functional medicine world. This test, and people know it's like this is a horrible test. But sometimes, because of financial incentives for the doctor or insurance or this or that, sometimes that's the test that's ordered in some practices over and over again. Even though the rest of us are shaking our heads and going, "That is a crappy test." So how are you supposed to know the difference, right? When a lot of those tests out there are horrible, and even practices that you go to, big functional medicine practices, could be doing a test that's not great, right? So out of those 42, again, I'm going to repeat this. I found only one or two companies that tests I'm willing to work with, and I have stuck with it. And the reason is this: is that in the last 16 years doing the work with this particular test, I learned a lot of wisdom that was gained over that time that nobody is teaching about how to accurately understand these test results. So to me, like I had a 16-year and maybe like 6,000 patients on this test to be able to say, there are some really interesting idiosyncrasies and patterns on this test that only that experience have been able to learn and now teach. So even the company themselves, you got to understand the company is developed by scientists or maybe a doctor, but they're not but usually it's a scientist, and then the companies are selling the test, but they're not delivering the care to thousands of people and seeing these patterns over and over again to realize, oh my gosh, those are false positives, meaning not real. Those are false negatives, not real. And we could get into it more in a second. So what I've learned is that the 16 years of experience and these thousands of tests have been able to instill in me a master's degree level of training around how to understand these patterns that are not easily apparent. Do you guys want to know what are the secret clues that I see in these results that nobody's seeing, none of the other doctors are seeing, and none of even the companies who make these tests see? Do you guys want to know
Yeah, if
what
you
are
wanna know, type in secret clues.
secret clues?
Interact with us. We can see there's a lot of you on with us live right now. So let us know. Do you want Dr. Maggie to reveal some of this? They're saying yes, please. Talk about it
Yeah.
because I've seen it and I've witnessed you talk, and you kind of alluded to it a moment ago when you mentioned false positives, false negatives. And this is not something the test outlines. This is something that through your experience you have been able to decipher.
Well, a lot of people in the audience are like, what is a false positive? What is a false negative? I'll give you a really good example. I had somebody who, and this happens all the time because people in my program see this, where it'll say Joan had a positive egg result, meaning they can't eat eggs ever for the rest of their lives. And Joan actually had a previous testing that told her the same thing, right? So Joan is not eating eggs, right? And then what I saw when I did this test, a different test than she had, it also showed that she was egg positive. But it was obvious to me that there was a secret behind that result. It was actually a false positive because there was some vaccination history in her that would produce a false positive on this blood test.
And you
It
took the
turned,
time to ask her, "Hey, have you had any kind of, vaccines that could impact this?" And the answer
have
is
you
no.
had this vaccine? Have you had that vaccine? When did you have it? And and basically I tied it to the fact was this was a false positive. And get this, okay? She was able to reintroduce the eggs back without feeling bad, right? And and the linchpin here is that she's a vegetarian.
Ah, so she needed
So
that protein source. She wanted the
that
eggs in
was
her
her
diet.
that was Joan's main protein source. And so when you looked at that, she was getting sicker and sicker. She was losing weight. Her vitamins were getting lower. Her iron stores were getting lower. Her thyroid was getting lower. Her hormones were getting shut down.
It
And
was
all because she's been told that her eggs were positive when it was a lie. It's a false positive because neither the company nor the doctors that did the test knew these patterns.
but
And
you've seen
so
it.
I teach them. This is the secret sauce that I think is really important. Providers don't get this training. And I have providers that come through our program. I have providers getting certified with our program. And this is stuff that I have providers in practice over 24 years that are saying, I've never heard this. This is the first time I've heard it. And this is the first time I've seen patients that actually take this data, learn these patterns, and they implement for themselves and their families. And they get instant results like this that's scientifically accurate. Hi, and thank you for watching this video. If you're interested in actively looking for a solution to your problem and you'd like to work with us, I'm going to invite you to go ahead and click the link in the description to book a chat with our team. I and my team look forward to talking to you to learn more about you to see if we are indeed a good fit to work together. Thank you.